This is Arts Alive. I'm Lynda Phillippi, and I'm really happy to introduce my guest today. It's Erin Hanson, and Erin is a fabulous artist, as you'll see in just a moment. And also, she's one of the new artists that's going to be on the Art Harvest Studio Tour this fall, which after a 2-year absence, I think everybody's really excited about. There'll be 50 artists, and that's, almost overwhelming to consider, but I know you're not going to want to miss Erin once you see her work and listen to her, of course. But, so Erin, you welcome for starters.
Thank you for having me.
I have to tell you that how I met you, I'll tell this story real quickly, but how I met you was I was going to a wine tasting with some friends. And they said, okay, it's here. It's way back in the industrial section of McMinnville. So driving around, finding it, okay, this must be it. Very nondescript area around there. I walked in, I was so blown away by your work, by the beauty of your work, by the vibrant colors of your work. And I just was like, oh, who is this artist? She's just incredible. And yeah, I kind of fell in love, I have to tell you.
That's wonderful.
So I'm sure you hear that a lot.
It is funny. Yeah, I have my gallery located in the middle of the industrial area of McMinnville. Mm-hmm. But we actually have 18,000 square feet. Our facility is as long as a football field. And it lets us do all of our print production right there on site, which is really exciting.
So you, in other words, definitely get your 10,000 steps every day.
Oh, yes, we do.
Well, that's good. So no gym membership required.
Exactly.
Now, let's talk a little bit about you, because, your style to me is just over the top amazing. But I read in your nice brochure that you call it open impressionism.
That's right. I coined the term open impressionism to describe my style. Mm-hmm. I had been painting for about 5 years before enough people told me my style was different than anything they'd ever seen. And so I figured I should come up with a name to describe it. And I call it open impressionism because it's a contemporary type of impressionism. I don't overlap my brushstrokes at all, which is what makes it different from traditional impressionism, where they would layer the brushstroke, paint over paint, building up over layers and layers. I do my work in a single layer, and it gives it a mosaic or stained glass kind of appearance. And I like the name Open Impressionism also because I get all my inspiration out of doors.
So with that being said, I was going to ask you, do obviously it's not plein air, but do you go out and take photos, or do you just absorb it in your mind and then come back and paint your mind's eye?
A bit of both. Mm-hmm. I definitely work from photos I've taken, but they're a very loose reference. And then I have fun with my imagination and trying to really capture the beauty and the experience of being out of doors.
Mm-hmm. I love that so much. So, did you have formal training as an artist at all?
I have been painting in oil since I was 8 years old and had a lot of classes when I was younger. I did 1 semester in an art college. But then I went off and got my degree in bioengineering from UC Berkeley. So had a bit of a roundabout way back to art later on in my early 20s. But I'm really glad I landed here as an artist because I get to combine my 2 loves, my love of the outdoors and my love of painting.
I'm from the Bay Area myself, and there's so many, sometimes, I'll see just a photograph that somebody's put up, and there's such that visceral thing inside, just like home, it's home, I love it. But where are you from originally?
Well, I was actually born in Portland.
Okay. So this is really home.
This is home, but I moved to Southern California when I was 2.
Okay.
So I lived in Los Angeles, and then I lived in Las Vegas for a while. Then I moved down to San Diego. I was there for 4 years before I moved back up here to Oregon.
I saw in your gallery, I saw some of it looked like maybe that's when you were in Las Vegas, some desert pieces and things like that. And I've spent a fair amount of time there myself, and I think it's really interesting, just even flying in, the sky's so big, and the landscape is so stark and it's so different. But once you're there a while, it kind of grows on you. You know that desert and the giant clouds that'll come, and you don't see that everywhere.
It's true.
Yeah.
It's true. The desert is a magical place. Actually, it was when I moved to Las Vegas that I started doing one painting every week. And that's what led me to my career of being a full-time artist. And I was rock climbing at Red Rock Canyon, which is out on the outskirts of Las Vegas.
Yeah.
And so I was, for the first 3-4 years I was painting in this style, I would only paint desert landscapes. And I think that also kind of affected my style, because I was painting these rocks and they're very chunky, kind of delineated sections of color, and that is how I paint. That is what open impressionism is all about, is these separate sections of color that kind of come together like a mosaic to form an image.
And it's true, like when I noticed in your gallery, you can get up close to your paintings and appreciate them on one level, but that you can back way across the room, and because they are so vibrant and because they're typically so big, I mean, they really do make an impact and a different kind of a statement when you're way backed up from them and looking like, on a wall 10 feet away.
Exactly.
I love that.
Yep.
So tell me how, like what prompted you to come this far north again?
Well, I've always loved the Northwest, and I had a baby.
Well, there you go.
She's almost 3 now. So I had her, she was only a few weeks old when COVID hit.
Oh, gosh.
And that I just moved out of California, basically, and came up here to Oregon. I wanted her to grow up in the country. And there's a school here, the Delphian School.
Oh, yeah.
Up on the hill in Sheridan. And my mom used to work there when I was a kid.
Oh, did she?
Yeah. And I actually graduated from the Los Angeles Delphi.
Oh, okay.
So they have a branch out in LA, and
Okay.
I went there. My mom taught there, so I'm a big believer in their education system.
Okay, yeah.
So that's what brought me back up to Oregon, was a combination of my daughter and wanting to be out in the country and not be so crammed in a city.
I love it. Have they approached you at all about doing, like, teaching any art classes or anything?
Yeah, in fact, I've already had one intern at my gallery. She spent a couple months with us in our marketing department.
I bet that was fun for her and you.
It was.
I was like, oh, wow, help.
Exactly, and nice, some fresh young blood, you know.
Yeah. So let's go back into a little bit more about the whole printing thing. So obviously these are your original work, and I'm not sure what all we've seen in the background because I haven't been looking, but what comes next? Tell me about the printing.
Well, this is an original that's behind me right now. It's an original oil painting, and you can see I use really chunky paint, a lot of texture. So I came up with a way of replicating my paintings in a print form where you still see all the texture and you can actually feel all the bumps of all the paint strokes in a print form. So we use 3D scanning and printing technology.
Oh.
It's a brand new technology. I actually spent 2 years developing it, and no
wow.
other artists that I know of do this. So we scan my originals using this giant scanner that takes up this whole room.
Okay.
It's a huge piece of equipment. And we scan the painting and create a 3D map that records every little ridge of texture of the painting. And then we send it over to our other building, and that's where it gets printed. And they print it in many, many layers, over 20 layers of ink get laid down.
Oh, my
and
heavens.
each layer of ink builds up and builds up, and then we put the color on top. And when it's done, you can put it right next to an oil painting and they look almost indistinguishable from each other.
That's amazing. You know what?
Yeah.
When you were talking about that, it made me think of, when we were kids and they had those maps, like those topographical
Exactly.
maps, where you'd see the little mountain
Yes.
ridges come
Yes.
up, and you're like, oh, okay.
That's exactly what it is.
So it's something
Yep.
like that, only modern. Did
Yep.
you have to develop the machine?
No, thankfully not. This was an existing technology, but they were using it like in home goods. Like this brick wall behind you was probably scanned and printed using 3D scanning and printing technology. So they use it to print like vinyl stone that looks real.
Oh.
Stone and wood, grain, and all this kind of stuff. But no one had ever applied it to art world. So I had bought this scanner to create higher resolution, 2-dimensional images. Just regular canvas prints. I wanted a higher res image that I could blow up larger. And kind of by a happy coincidence, this machine also took a 3D scan of my paintings. So that's when I started looking into this technology and doing many, many years of trial and error and testing to see how I can make it actually look like a painting.
I think that's kind of amazing, and it kind of does bring. I mean, I know when you were saying when you went to school, you got a degree in whatever
bioengineering, mm-hmm.
but that's engineering and that's
right.
science, and your little brain just kind of clicks in those wheels or something, and it all came together for you, didn't it?
Exactly. Yeah.
Isn't that amazing? I love that. So let's talk about kind of what's next for you. Do you have something on the horizon that you're working on in particular, or a show coming up?
I do. On June 25th, we're going to be having the Sunflower Show in my gallery in McMinnville.
Okay.
And I've always loved Van Gogh. He is such an inspiration for me. His painting Irises, when I saw it as a kid, made me want to become an impressionist.
Oh,
because I was like, I had been planting irises with my mom in my garden, and then when we saw the actual painting in person, the real Van Gogh oil painting, mm-hmm. I was like, this is way more beautiful than real life. And that's when it really clicked into my head at age 8 that Impressionism could be even more beautiful.
Wow.
Than reality.
So you were kind of always geared for this. Did you by any chance see the Van Gogh immersive thing?
I did. It was so neat. I loved it when the cherry blossoms all cut loose and started floating through the air.
Yes. I saw it in Chicago, and I thought it was really amazing. But I could see you doing something like that with your work, because it is so vibrant, and
mm-hmm.
it does lend itself to that sort of magical realism sort of thing.
I would love to do something like that.
I know, that would be incredible. Yeah, I wonder how that would work. So I had some questions for you, because we had talked about this, and well, I think we pretty much answered them all except for this. Do you accept commissions?
I do.
Okay.
Absolutely. In fact, I'm working on a commission right now. It's a beautiful grove of trees with a river winding between the trees. And this was a hike, a walk that this couple would take when they lived out in the country, and they moved into Chicago. They moved to Chicago.
Okay.
And in these, this big building, and they wanted a painting to mm-hmm. remind them of this nature trail that they used to walk all the time. So I'm painting. It's huge. It's going to be 50 inches by 60 inches, so as tall as I am. And
which is kind of about the size of that in a way. Yeah.
Exactly. Mm-hmm.
But the other way.
Yep.
That's amazing. Okay. All right. And then, one of the things I wanted to mention to everybody that I thought was fascinating is when we came to the gallery, how you had this really nice, packet of things that you gave out. But I've never seen anybody do this before, with the little booklet and sort of the design inspiration and how you picture your paintings on different walls. And I noticed that it said also that if somebody sends you a photo of their room, that you'll kind of insert a painting in there so that they can kind of get a sense of what that might look like.
Absolutely. I figure since homes and walls is where my paintings end up living, mm-hmm. it's fun to see how they might look, or to choose a painting that'll really pop in that room, or change the wall color to make the painting really, really stand out. So I've kind of been dabbling in interior design a little bit, just as a way to accentuate the artwork.
I have to tell you this. I was putting on my makeup today, and I was putting on my eyeshadow, and I thought, you know what? I wonder if Erin's ever thought about, like, when she looks at people, if she thinks of makeup, like, that color's really not right with her coloring, because you're such a color person. I literally thought about you while I was sitting there putting on my makeup.
That's so funny.
I know, right? But it's true, and I thought, how sometimes you just get a sense of color is such a big piece of what you do. I mean, if somebody had to say, what does she do? Open Impressionism is not what would spring to my mind until now. I would just say, oh my gosh, her work is so vibrant and so exciting and so alive. That to me is how I would describe your work. It's so incredible. So, do you have regular gallery hours?
We do.
Okay.
We're open Wednesday through Saturday from 10 to 6.
Oh, that's easy. And then you will be again on the Art Harvest Studio Tour later in the fall, in October. So, well, in the meantime, Erin, thank you so much for being here today, and wish you continued success.
Thank you so much.